Hey guys, it's Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Down in the comments, I've had a couple of questions about covering the flow control on the Timemore Black Mirror Nano. So I'm going to do that today in a bit more detail. And also I've got a few extra bits and pieces to add to the review that I did about 2 weeks ago. And a spoiler alert, there's a couple of more negatives, unfortunately. So let's get on with it. So firstly, I want to see if the flow control button program works in Espresso mode. So I've got my Gaggia Classic here, 18 grams loaded in. So we know this mode, because as soon as we put a cup on, that should zero out, timer button flicks up. So let's start a shot and see what happens. So as you can see, it does work, and then at the end it flashes. So for those guys wondering about manual mode, there you go. So it definitely works, you can do the flow. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to do a pour over. I'm going to just have a little look in pour over mode just to see how it works there, but I presume it's going to be pretty much the same. Right, so I've now got the clear to wave set up, ready to go. So as we do, if we push that timer button, we get the 3, 2, 1. And then from there, we can just start to pour. So we'll just do the bloom. Just over 50 grams there. Got a little swirl. Just for time's sake, I'll only give it a 30-second bloom. Just so we can then get to the main point and see what the flow control's like. So what I'll do now is we're coming up for 30 seconds. I'll switch it to the flow. So we literally just push that button. We've gone to 0. And let's have a real controlled effort at trying to pour slow. More difficult than it looks. So I believe this is measuring in, I guess, grams a second. So I'm now pouring at what, roughly 1 to 2 grams a second. I guess it's down to you guys what you feel or what you want to pour at, what you feel is too fast, too slow. Oh God, started to pour again, then I know I jumped up to about 8. So yeah, I want to take this to 210 grams. So to me, a nice flow actually is looking around the 2 to 3. Anything lower than that, and I think it's almost dripping. So if we push the flow button, it actually resets it. If you push the timer button, we go back to the timer. That's what I wanted. So I'll let this flow about halfway down, although I think the grind is a little bit coarse actually, because that's flowing rather quite fast. So we'll go back to the flow, push that button. So that I think is a nice flow. What have we got there? About 2 to 3. That looks good to me. And we'll go all the way to 320. Oh, I've stopped. Oh God. And there we have it. So as you can see, I think the flow control actually works quite well on the little scale. But yeah, I guess with some more practice for me, I I could definitely get better at that. That's the first time I've done it, and I was trying to watch the camera screen while watching the flow control, while also trying to watch the pour. So probably trying to do too many things at once. But yeah, you get the idea. When I showed it in the espresso mode, you could definitely see it coming out nice and slowly. It was about 1 to 2 grams a second, wasn't it? Which is, I guess, kind of what we want with a 2 to 1. That's about right, isn't it? So yeah. So now let's crack on and basically just talk about a few more negatives I've had. This 5-button press to go through the modes is annoying. Like, flatline, annoying. I don't understand why they've done that. The general mode and the pour over mode are basically exactly the same, but the general is an automatic. So, in my opinion, get rid of that and basically, like the on-off rocker switch, put that on the side with an E and a P, so you can flip between espresso and pour over. Problem solved. So if you're watching Timemore, do that. It will improve this scale no end, and it really will. That will level it up. Apart from that, battery life's good. Like I said, I've been using it now like 2 to 3 weeks. I think I've dropped from 3 bars to 2. So battery's perfect, no issue there. Let me just grab the little scale. Let me just think, what else can I think about it? Yeah, I think apart from that, I've enjoyed using it. I did see on the coffee forums that some people had some issues with the espresso mode, jumping in and out, stopping, starting. I haven't found that. Mine's worked flawlessly. I've had no issues with any of the modes. One thing I would say is in espresso mode, if you have sort of, say you're dialing in a coffee and you've gone a bit too fine or you've tamped a bit too hard and the flow rate is slow, then this thinks, the scale, sorry, thinks that the shot's finished. So it starts flashing finish. So if after sort of, I think around 2 to 3 grams, the flow hasn't started to speed up from the initial drops, the scale thinks that it's finished. So it starts flashing and it doesn't count. So that is a bit annoying, but I guess then in ways you know that your shot is going to be, well, it's probably going to be way over extracted because of you've tamped too hard, you've ground, so you may stop the shot anyway. But if you don't, what you've got to do is you've got to lift the cup, let the scale reset, sit it back down when the flow obviously starts to increase, and then you can work from there. But I guess that's not ideal. Apart from that, pour overs, no issues. I've had no problems. It works as intended. You start and stop the scale yourself. You can, as soon as you lift it off, the timer stops as well, so that's good. And overall, I am happy with it. There's just a few things that I would tweak. I think one of the things that makes it harder to use these buttons is the fact that, let me try and show you, they're touch, but they're like, you can't quite see them, can you? You can just see them there and there. They're like embossed. So as much as it's like a touch flat, it isn't. It's still really a touch button, which when it's on the side and you can't see it, it does make it a bit harder to use. I'll tell you what, let me grab the Timemore scale, kettle. So the kettle has nothing. Like, you can't even see it, look, on the front. You can't see, there's the slider. You can just about make that out. And apart from that, all of this is touch, but there are no buttons or anything at all to suggest that. They should have done that with the scale. They should have just put maybe a little marker or something and left them flat. I think they'd be easier to touch that way. But again, improvement maybe for next time when the next iteration comes out. But I would still wrap up and say, if you are looking to purchase this scale because of the small size and the flow control, if that's important to you, then go for it, because it's still a great price for this scale. As ever, if you've got any comments, put them down below, let me know. I'm happy to do more videos like this one for the flow control. If you found this information useful, please like the video. It helps me to work out what you guys like to watch. For plenty more stuff like this, please subscribe, because there's more coming. I'm also doing much more stuff on cameras and lenses as well, so if that interests you, hopefully going to be doing some POV style videos, because I've watched some of them myself and I really quite like them, so I'm going to try and have a go at doing some of those. And with that, guys, I hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.